Welcome to Real Talk with Donna Valdes, where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, triumph, and hope from some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, women in business, and leaders from all walks of life. Hi, I'm Donna Valdes, your host, and I am thrilled to have you join us on this incredible journey. In each episode, we'll uncover the secrets behind our guests' success, explore the challenges they've overcome, and discover the lessons they've learned along the way. Welcome to Real Talk with Donna Valdes. It's a new podcast series where I get down and dirty with all of my guests. No bullshit. We just talk about the real things that affect you, your business. And the goal is to just give you stories of hope, let you hear from some amazing people, interesting and inspiring entrepreneurs, leaders from all walks of life. And I'm Donna Valdes, your host. I am thrilled to have you on this journey with me. And today I am so excited. You're going to meet this guy who I met, my goodness, that was 2014. No, 2016, when I was involved in a company. And this guy used to show up on our calls and he used to fire everybody up. And he got my attention. And you know those people that get your attention, they make like this imprint on you, the ones I'm talking about, right? Where you see them, glance at them, but you can't stop thinking of them. Well, that's Chance. And I am so excited to have him on today so you get to hear from him. I'm going to ask him a couple questions. We keep these conversations real, robust. That's the whole point. And I just can't wait for you to fall in love with him and get to know him as incredible as I do. So say hi, Chance.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on, Donna. I definitely appreciate this invite on your podcast.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Well, first of all, let's give everyone a little bit of taste. Just give them a nibble, a little foreplay, a little bit of a little intro into who you are, where you're from. Give them a little bit of your background, just a little abbreviated version before we get deep dive into it.
Okay, so my name is Chance. Like Donna had told you all, I am from a really small town in Kentucky originally, born in Bloomington, Indiana, raised in a small town in Indiana until about the 5th grade. Then I went to Kentucky. When I got into 5th grade in Kentucky, it was the first time in my life I ever completed one whole school year at one school system. So, excuse me, if you know, if you have grandchildren that may be raised by somebody that doesn't have their shit together, then you know what that's like, right? And so my childhood was very similar to that. I did end up moving to Kentucky in 5th grade to live with my grandparents, which is where I finally got to complete a whole school year at one school, make friends. It was the first time in my life I made the AB honor roll. So that was super exciting. I grew up in a little town in Kentucky. I graduated with 160 people. Luckily, one thing that helped me a lot in my childhood, I think, was that I was raised by a top leader in the network marketing industry. So from a very young age, even though my life wasn't perfect, right? We had a lot of crap in our family like everybody does. We had a lot of, disheartening things, losses, unfortunate circumstances. But we always had money, and it was because of the network marketing industry. And so my grandmother was a top 10 money earner with a company back in the 90s, if y'all remember it. If y'all know Dale Calver, if you ever heard of New Image. So that was my grandma's company back in the 90s, and she was one of their top 10 money earners. So I grew up in these meeting rooms my entire childhood, sitting on the front row of these hotel event venues that have been rented out, watching my grandmother walk across the stage, tell her weight loss story, and collect $30,000 a month check. So from a very young age, of course, things have changed, right, y'all? It's not the meeting rooms anymore. It's not. But from a young age, I was taught to sit and act like an adult. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. It gave me a lot of leg up in the business world. It also, from a young age, I feel like when I was 20, I knew what this industry could offer, what kind of lifestyle it could provide. And a lot of people get into this looking to make $500, $200 a month, which is great. That's where I started, right? Even though I knew what was possible when I was 20, if I could pay my car payment, y'all, I was happy. I was waiting tables in a restaurant And I knew that there was a lot of potential in the industry. There was no other business I could start at a young age with no money, no, like only the skills that I had, literally with the tools I had in my toolbox. There was just nothing else that I needed to do besides network marketing. So that's a little bit about me, where I'm from, how I got like introduced to network marketing. From a child, I was, riding around in the car listening to the Zig Ziglar tape. I still have some of my books are passed down, like Fly Like an Eagle, Rich Dad Poor Dad, How to Be a Rhino. They're like yellow pages, if you know what I mean. They're ancient and they're important to me and they're sentimental because it is something that, people are like, they ask me all the time, they're like, Chance, why do you do network marketing? Why do you sell this? Why do you do this industry? And the only way I know how to put it is it's not on me, it's in me. And so when something is in you and not on you, it doesn't matter how much it pays you. It doesn't matter how much success you're having. It doesn't matter if it's the highs or the lows, you're going to always do it. And so that's why I always go back to or resort back to network marketing in all aspects of my career. I've went out and I've ventured out. I did timeshare sales for a while, which was interesting. One-on-one trying to sell timeshares. And I learned a lot, right? I've probably been in over 15 network marketing companies and nothing was ever a failure. I always learned something that made me more money the next time I did it again, if that, resonates with anybody. I know other entrepreneurs can relate with that, right? You never really fail. You just learn and grow and move forward. But
I like that.
Little
I like
snippet.
that.
I don't ever have a short answer.
You know what is interesting is you were raised OG style.
OG, yeah.
And yet you have taken this time to pivot in social media specifically, right? So even though your grandma showed you the circles on the board, you sat in the hotel room, so they don't do that anymore, right? So when you made the decision to get started in network marketing, we'll just talk about network marketing right now. What is it? I mean, how did you figure out, okay, this ain't my grandma's network marketing ways anymore? How did you figure out, let's go on social media? I mean, what was that like? Because if someone tells you it's an elephant, and then one day you go, it's not an elephant, it's a fat rhino.
Mhm.
How did you make that pivot? And did you go do some training, or is it you just tried and failed? What was it? Because I know your grandma didn't teach you how to do all this.
No, but I watched her. So there was a time where our life completely changed and the $30,000 checks were gone. And there was $1 million bankruptcy in our family and we lost everything. And she was no longer wearing the $10,000 fur coats in the meeting rooms. And we were no longer driving $90,000 cars around. So we got humbled. We lived in a trailer. You drove regular cars. I didn't always get the nicest clothes at school anymore. And so what happened when I was younger and what I always knew, I knew that my grandma was a great saleswoman, right? And she still is to this day. But what happened was, like you said, things had changed. And it wasn't the OG style anymore. And what a lot of top leaders do is they make a lot of money doing something one way, one time. And they think that that is the only way to skin the cat, right? That's what I believe is a mistake that's made inside our industry. And the reality of it is it's technology now and it's no longer the meeting room. I do think that there is a lot of power in the meeting room still, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to find people to put in the meeting room unless you're on social media. And so for me, I think that it was definitely watching. If she had the skills and the ability to pivot, I feel like. And so as an entrepreneur myself, watching that growing up, I don't want to ever, I call it dry up. I don't want to dry up, right? I don't want to dry up in the industry. And so you'll see top leaders do that. They will make a couple $1 million. They'll either retire, which is great, or some of them won't, or they'll try to come back and then they have a hard time finding success. It's because things are different than the last time that they had a big build. And even as an entrepreneur right now, getting back into the industry after being out just 3 years, yeah, the business is growing, but I still have a huge learning experience to go through because I'm not viral on TikTok. I don't have, I feel like the people I was bringing into my business felt when I was 22. And I thought everything was so simple and easy. And why can't y'all go do this? Now I feel like that person. And so things change so fast. And it's like technology is forever changing. I feel like the most important thing that you can do is stay coachable and just learn. Always learn. Another thing for me was learning that it has really nothing to do with, of course, when you're in this industry, you want a great product, you want a great comp plan, you want to believe. The most important thing that you want is belief in what you're doing. Because if you don't believe in it, then you can't go share it with the world and you can't leave the impact that you want to leave. But what I'm trying to say with that is it doesn't really matter what company you're with, because I'm telling you right now, there's so many different companies out there right now, nothing bad about them, but they're all selling about the same ingredients with a different name on it. And all those companies have top leaders. I'm friends with some of them, and they're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. And I also want to go on to say, I believe that things are changing in an even different way. You know, Donna, when me and you met, it was the gig economy. We were in a gig economy. Everyone wanted to make $500 to $1,000 a month. If you could help someone make $500 to $1,000 a month, they weren't going anywhere. But now, you know, we have Uber, we have DoorDash, we have TikTok, for example. I know people can go on TikTok and they can do the ring bombs where you drop the, and yeah, that's a great business if you want to make $500 to $1,000 a month. People are writing letters. That's a great business, you know, if you want to make $500 to $1,000 a month. But I feel like we're switching because there's so many gigs and people are like, okay, you know, millennials, all of us, we can make an extra $500 a month easily. We don't really have to try. There's so many different things. I could go get in my car right now and go drop off some food and make some money if I needed to. And so we're switching into this more chance. I'm getting more of the, how do I make $5,000 a month? So I need to tell me how to make $10,000 a month, you know? And so people are getting, you know, social media is getting loud. People are seeing that it is possible. There's so many different gigs that people are like, oh, I have 5 gigs going, making me $500 a month. Now I'm ready to have a business that makes me $5,000 a month. I'm ready to have a business that makes me $10,000 a month. And some people, $10,000 a month may seem unreal, but $3,000 doesn't even, you know, and it's still more than what the gig economy would allow. So I believe that's why network marketing is about to experience another like growth. I feel like it's always growing, but you know, it has its highs and lows and it has its pivot in social media where we all stop and we're like, as leaders in the industry and the industry as a whole, it's like, okay, but what now? And I think that's where we're getting to. I'm starting to have more serious conversations with people that are, I'm not having as many conversations with people, but the conversations that I am having, people are wanting to make more money than they were wanting to make 5, 6 years ago.
It's interesting. That's really an interesting perspective because we're always taught to go for the lowest common denominator and talk to the most people. You know, how many times have you heard this? The one who has the most conversations make the most money. So you have a very unique perspective. I appreciate that. All right, let's talk about.
That is also true for, you know, the one, you know, it depends on your experience in the industry as well. You're talking to someone that has experience in the industry, they're going to have a bigger income goal versus someone that had zero experience, right? If I'm talking to a brand new person, I would never tell them you can get into this and make $5,000 a month. If you have 300 Facebook friends like I had when I started, and you had to put your kid on a credit card, that's where I started. I put $1,000 kid on a credit card. I had 300 Facebook friends. I was 20 years old. I knew that I probably wasn't going to make $10,000 a month, but I knew that there was no other business that I could start for $1,000. And that by the time I was 40, I could retire.
That's amazing. Okay. So I'm a big believer in failing forward like you. Tell me, thinking back on your entire span, what are some of the biggest mistakes you learned from that you think someone else might learn from your mistakes? What are some of your biggest like gut punches that you were like, and you learned such an incredible lesson from?
I think probably leaving my very first company, actually. So that was a mistake that I made. I was new in the industry and it kind of started this whole ripple effect throughout my career, where I'm a firm believer that when you get into this industry, you really need to build influence in people. That's the most important thing. You really need to show people that you have grit and that you're consistent, right? And I failed tremendously at both of those two things. I literally looked like I had no grit, and I looked like I wasn't consistent. And it was because I got into this scarcity mindset, right? That there wasn't enough to go around. And so I was in my first company. I was young. I was one rank away from getting the car bonus, which was like rank 6 at the time. Super excited. Just got back from my first event, met Jessie Lee Ward for the first time. She kissed me on the cheek. I haven't washed it since. And so, and also I want to say, God rest her soul, rest in peace, Jessie Lee Ward. That is one person that forever changed who I am in this industry. And so when without her leadership virtually and everything that she offered me within value, when I even wasn't in the same company as her, who I am as a leader is 90% of her. So she has a lot to do with who I am as a leader. And you'll notice I have a lot of her same beliefs and stuff about the industry. But yeah, I think that the biggest mistake that I made was leaving that company, because I saw other people leaving and going and getting a bigger check. And I'm like, well, they have less influence than I do here. If they're going and getting a $20,000 a month check at that new coffee company, so can I, you know? And so I did the thing. I followed the shiny ball, the lady in the red dress. I followed, and it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And so while all my friends were at this new company making all this money, I was just hanging out being a cheerleader, and that was great. It was a learning experience, right? It's not always going to work for you like it works for someone else. And so I made a business decision based on what was working for other people, not what really aligned for me in my life at the time.
Ooh, so, that's a nugget right there. Say that one more time. That's huge. You were making business decisions based on how it benefited those other people, not what it was going to do for you or your team.
Correct. And so I saw that it was helping I saw that leader go have success, and their team was doing great. So I thought that it would be like that for me, but it didn't work out that way. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. You'll see leaders go from one company to another, and it's not what they hoped it would be. And they will walk away from the $5,000 check or whatever. Personally, I've never walked away from a check like that. I don't know if I would. If I was passionate about something to build a check that big, then I'll never say never. But if I'm passionate enough to build something that big to make that much money, then I don't see a reason to walk away from it. And I believe that your paycheck is just a reflection of the amount of value that you bring into other people's lives. If you've impacted that many people's life, why would you change? At the same time, don't get greedy, right? So it's a comparison game. Leaders are on social media all day, and they see other leaders making more than them. They want what they have, and so they do what they're doing to try to get what they got, but that's not how it works. You really have to make decisions based on what your market wants. For one, what makes you happy, and what can you get up every day excited to talk about? Because a closed mouth won't ever get fed. And if you are up every day talking about your favorite skincare, your favorite health and wellness drink, or whatever, then you're going to get attention, right? People are going to eventually pay attention to you, and it's going to be an easier thing. So yeah, to answer your question, I feel like that was where I failed the most, is not having that grit to just build something out one good time as big as I could get it, and really giving it a good 3 years. I've always been somebody, I show up. I'm famous for pre-launches. I love pre-launches because I love that it gives the average person the opportunity to market in a space with less competition. And that's why I love pre-launches. And as well as I do, that's where I've mainly built. And my biggest builds in this industry have been in a pre-launch company. Anytime I've ever gotten to an income of, $8,000 a month, that's as big as it's gotten. But 8,000, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, all of that was from a pre-launch company. It was never from joining Mary Kay, that's been around for 40 years. That's where I got those checks and that income from. However, there's a risk attached to that, right? You don't know what the CEO is going to do. You never know what a company's going to make the decision to do, but I'll tell you, it's still a better way, and it's still worth, not all startups are worth the
Yeah.
risk.
Well, I got to tell you, knowing my background as you do, pre-launches, you definitely have grit. If you can work a pre-launch, that takes a special grit. And I talk about that quite a bit of pioneering a new company, pioneering the field. It's like you're out there with a machete, cutting down the path for the rest behind you. So it does take a lot of grit to do that. So you definitely learned that. Let's talk about social media real quick, because um, social media, it's interesting you brought it up, leaders with, it's almost like a double-edged sword. They go out there and they show this momentum, they show, yay, I'm over here making all this money. And then people who maybe have a break in their own beliefs start saying, I wonder if it's really that good over there. And it's like social media has been the tool to hurt, I think, our industry a lot, because there is so much noise out there. And then at the same time, it's been a great tool to make money and build connections and etc. I'm curious, and we've talked about this before, your social media, because I follow you, it's like I can always tell when you're having a great day, you're on social media talking. And then when you have what I do like about you, and I got to tell you, is your authentic self. You're one of the few that will get on social media and say when you're having a bad day or when things don't work out. And I appreciate that. And I just want to tell you, I do. Um, I think sometimes we're told only stay positive. You have been authentic from the get-go when things don't work out in your personal life as well as in businesses. And I want to just talk about that. Was there a decision you made like, oh man, I got to show everything? Or did you make a decision, it's no one's business? And how did you come up with the philosophy, the strategy? Or is it you don't have a strategy, you're just being, this is how you're meant to, for me, sometimes it's mental therapy. The camera on my phone is my diary, my therapist, like, okay, it was a little tough today, or, oh, it was great. How has that worked for you? Do you regret being so authentic? Do you encourage others to do it? And tell me some of the issues that you've had on social media because of that.
So that's a great question, Donna. I think that the most important thing for me has always been being transparent and being relatable. I feel like if I always show up every day and show everybody that everything's been easy and a cakewalk and everything's just landed in my lap and I never had any challenges or obstacles to overcome, then I would only attract people into my business that were looking for easy cakewalks and things to fall in their lap without work. So for me, I always try to put out there the real, like, what does it take? What obstacles do you have to go through? For me, I've had to cut people out of my life that I never thought I would have to cut out of my life in my personal life. I've had people in my life, so when I would go live on a video, they would purposely come in the background and like start acting crazy, and that's toxic. And so for me, if I don't show other people that there are going to be people in your life that are going to try to slow you down, when you're a powerful force, then it reminds other people of what they are not. And whenever you do that, then it puts a target on you and people are going to try to come for you. And so you have to be able to have enough respect for yourself to say, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to show people who I am. I'm going to be raw and real, but I'm also going to do what it takes to make things better, so that I can show them that it's possible to make things better, right? And so for me, that has been my philosophy. Yes, the road hasn't always been easy. I've had to let go of people that I never thought I would have to let go of. I love them, but I don't talk to them every day. And when you realize that some people just don't want to see you win, then it makes it easier to do that, right? And whenever you start to win without that in your life and you're like, oh, it's like so much lighter. It's so much easier. Things start flowing, things start coming. But, I always want people to know who I am. If people don't know, like, and trust you, how are they ever going to go on a journey with you, let alone buy something that you have for sale, right? So for me, I feel like it's super important whenever you can build that know and trust factor. And the faster that you can build that, the quicker your results will be.
Who are some of your biggest influences right now in business?
So one that I follow is Megan Dessart. I love Megan Dessart. I followed her for years. She's really high energy like I am. And so I relate with her on that level. When I talk about business, my hands just start going crazy and I feel my adrenaline start to pump. And so I can relate a lot with her in that aspect. Also, I followed Eric Worre for years. I love Stormy Wellington. She's one of my favorite mentors in the industry. Actually, I follow people in the industry that get results that I would like to get, right? So if they're a 7-figure earner and they're loud and they're putting up content, I'm usually watching. But yeah, Stormy Wellington, Megan Dessart, who else? I mean, I have so many. I still listen to the Jesse Lee Ward podcast sometimes because I feel like I can't listen to that wisdom enough. And then there's so many more, but
Yeah, that's a good list so far, though.
I could keep going, but we're not going to do
great list. Okay, so if you were around today to give advice to you 5 years ago, what would you have told yourself?
What would I have told myself 5 years ago? Well, 5 years ago, where was I at 5 years ago first? I was, yeah. So I would definitely tell myself to not get out of chasing your dreams. I feel like here's the thing. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know what we're going to go through. For those of you that may be watching a little bit more about me, is I moved from that small town in Kentucky and I moved to Florida. And I moved to Pensacola, Florida because it was a dream of mine that I've always had. My hand's itching. What's that mean, Donna? Don't they say that means you're about to get some money or something?
I think, is it your right or your left?
I can't remember, but I don't want to scratch it. So we're just going to.
Just tap it. There you go.
I moved to Florida. I started a new life. It was the biggest run in my industry that I had to date. And I was like, okay, like this is going to be a good career. I was still in my mid-20s, right? So I was fairly young. I'm like, okay, yeah, we are definitely on track to retire by 40. Things are going great. And y'all know how life is. As soon as things are going great, what happens? So we had, actually it was after COVID is whenever my business grew the most, right after COVID. And then I actually came out of the closet at the age of 26. I think I was 26. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm gay. My name's Chance, still from Kentucky, but I'm gay in case y'all didn't catch the memo. But no, honestly, people are like, why did you wait to come out of the closet? And I'm like, I'm comfortable to talk about this. And I'm just like, I didn't know. Honestly, I'm from a little town where there's just not a bunch of good looking guys to look at when you're gay, and it was just, no one there was gay. It was like when you went to church, they talked about how you would go to hell if you was gay. And so I'm from the Bible Belt Loop. And so there was a lot of trauma around that, right? So whenever I got away and I was like, oh my gosh, some of the most wealthiest people in the world are gay. Oh my gosh. I got to Florida and I was like, there's more gay people doing good around here than there are straight people. So you can be gay and be successful. You can be who you're meant to be is what I saw when I got out into the world. And so when I got to Florida, I went through that. And then I was like a teenage girl that just found boys. So I went through,
kissed a lot of frogs.
Kissed a lot of frogs to find a prince. Yes. And so, well, not really a lot, but I was dating and I had gotten myself to a point where I was financially stable enough to where I felt like I could get in a relationship, right? And so I never wanted to get into a relationship with debt. I never wanted to get into a relationship with like bills, debt, icky stuff. I want to get in a relationship with like, this is what I bring to the table. This is what you bring to the table. And together we can really do some things together. And so when I look at a relationship, I look at two people building a better life together. You're not making a worse life together. You have more help, it should get better. And so I got into a relationship with somebody that lied to me. We've all been in those toxic relationships. And so they lived over in Mississippi at the time. And I was like, I'll move there because, well, if you're worth $8 million and you got a business there, like I'm not worth $8 million and I don't have a business here. So I can't really expect you to move here. So I'll move there. And so that was just a decision that I made. Come to find out there was never $8 million. There was never real estate. properties. There was never, all it was a PPP loan. Okay.
Yeah, but think about how much you grew from that experience. You trust, it's like, you know what I find is sometimes, especially when I was younger, your gut told you and you
Oh,
just
yeah.
didn't trust it, because you wanted to believe it with your heart more than your
Well,
gut
yeah,
was.
it was like a fairy tale, you know. It was like, oh my gosh, well, if I can find a businessman that, to me, the thing was, it's a business, somebody that thinks like I do, they have goals, they have ambitions. It
Yeah.
was never really about the money. It was about, okay, like they have something going on for themselves, I don't have to put them in my car and drop them off at work at Taco Bell, pick them back up, take them home, take them to their mom so she can wash their laundry. That's not what we're doing. And so
Taco Bell, plug for Taco Bell.
there's nothing wrong with working at Taco Bell at all. Love me some Taco Bell. Bye. Have a good night at work, honey. But I love you. Be careful. Take me, make it. But
Oh, is that your new prince?
Yeah. We've been together 3 years, but 2 years, just not because of the last one. I didn't put it public, right?
So you
we
were a little
together-
bit cautious and made public this time
we
because
were
you were
together.
very public on that toxic relationship.
Oh yes, this time we dated like a year public, and so before we ever lived together and did all that. So I really wanted to do time. I was like, I want to see what makes you tick before I live with you. I want you to see me mad, and I'll be honest. The first time he seen me mad, y'all, he was like, "You're scary," and I don't know if I can live with you actually.
That's
and I was like,
awesome.
okay, if I'm the scary one, then we're in good.
Oh my gosh, Chance.
I couldn't be my way out of a paper sack.
That is too much. Okay, so last question then. Well, 2 more questions. What is it
We can
that,
have a question.
so what is it that you're looking to your future self for? So we talked about you talking to your past self 5 years ago. What is it that you're kind of looking to your future self to guide you with right now? In
You mean
5
as far-
years, 10 years, the Chance Smith, Chance back, in the future, he's, if you had an opportunity to just say, hey, dude, help me here. What is it you need help with from your future self? Like, do you have that plan in your mind where you're going, what you're doing, or is it still kind of a little blurry?
Like, what's the plan for the next 5 years in my future as far as like business, life, like everything?
Yeah.
It's very crystal clear. I can tell you down to almost what color our home will be. Like, it's insane. And I've always been that way. I've always tried to keep this childlike. I've had people in my life, when I was out earning them, they would tell me that I lived in a fairy tale world. They would tell me when I got to stay and make $8,000 a month and they had to go work 40 hours a week, they would say, you don't live in reality. And I would say, well, it's my reality. I don't know what your reality is. But actually, my reality, and it's not less work than going to work 40 hours a week. I would rather work 16 hours a day for myself than work 40 hours a week for someone else. And so for me, the 5-year plan is so crystal clear. I want to stay in the network marketing industry. Like I said, this industry is not on me, it's in me. And so I've been around this industry long enough. I've watched my family lose. I've lost. I've seen the bad parts of this industry. I know how bad this industry can be, but I also know that it's still the best way. And so
wait, can we stop there? I'm going to ask you, what do you mean by how bad the industry? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know. If you build a business up and, say you have a business doing $50,000 a month in volume, you're making $8,000 a month, $9,000, whatever, you're making good money, decent money. Even if you're only making $500 a month, if the company makes the decision to close, your name isn't on the LLC. You have to just accept the fact that, if they're nice enough to give you your last paycheck, you have to take that and just move on the best way that you know how to. Hopefully you have built your following up enough. You've got that know, like, and trust factor down enough to where you can be honest with your following and let them know, look, this is what happened. We got screwed over. And if y'all want to, I'm not done yet. I still have a lot to do in this industry. And if you want to come with me, let's go. And so you have to be willing to realize that, you're taking people on a journey with you. And where are you going, right? For me, it's how many my market is women 40 or older, typically. If I do business with people, it's typically women 40 or older. I love that. They're my best friends. It's who I connect with. Probably because I act like a 40-year-old woman. And so, I have an old soul, and I'm just so mature because of the life that I've had. It's made me grow up really fast. And so knowing that that's my audience, I know that I need to make some 40-year-old women a lot of money, right? And so my goal now is it's transitioned. It's not about me anymore. I got back into this industry because I want to help Susan make $10,000 a month, and I want to help Barbara make $10,000 a month, and I want those stories, and I want to build influence in that way. As far as our personal life, yeah, I know I want to retire. My boyfriend, hopefully, will be married by then. He's been working for the same place 25 years, and I told him when we got together, I'm like, honestly, like, I love that about you. That's something that we're opposites, yin and yang, but I'm like, I hope you don't ever expect me to do that. That's what I said. I hope you don't want me to work somewhere for 25 years and retire, because I live a little bit of a different life, right? And so, and he's very supportive in that. But what I want to be able to do is set my life up in a way to where it's so stable that I can stay in this industry for the people no matter what, right? No matter, I don't have to make decisions in this industry out of money anymore, because I honestly love the community and the person that it's made me, and the relationships that I've gotten to build, and going to the events and hanging out with them and sneaking wine and our tumblers into the event and sipping on it, like feeling like you're the bad kid. All that's fun to me. Okay. And I love that. No, I've never snuck wine into an event. No, I'm just kidding, Nate. But, I love like the social aspect of the industry. And like next year, my goal is to start our real estate portfolio. In the next 5 to 10 years, I would love to own 7 rental houses, because we live in a military place here where we live. And so I would love 7 rental houses. That would really give us options over the next 20 years as we think about retiring Michael and moving forward with me, building in network marketing. In 20 years, we would have more options than we have now. We could sell all 7 of them and move and be okay, or we could sell 1 of them and be okay, whatever we had to do. We could unload them a little bit at a time, but it would be a way for us to be able to, for me to be in the industry, retire Michael and have steady income, So there is a plan there in place for that. I want to start the real estate portfolio. I am a serial entrepreneur at heart. So I look at network marketing as an engine to become the trust fund baby, right? I've always said the trust fund baby has a leg up, and so does the network marketer. And because you are an average person, and I'm an average person, everyday person. I don't have a degree in psychology. I don't have a master's degree. I'm not anything to college. I just graduated barely. And, it's the only way where I can go out and make enough money to open up traditional businesses without owing the bank millions of dollars. It's the only way I can come up with enough money to put 30% down on a rental house at 30 years old. And so unless you have money or an advantage in your life, and you want to get to 6 or 7 figures, I cannot think of a better way than network marketing to really get in and focus. Your dream doesn't have to be a top earner in network marketing. But if you get into this industry with the dream of owning a laundromat, and like I want a laundromat, a car wash, and I want the real estate portfolio. I want businesses that make money while I'm asleep with very little employees or overhead, right? Because I like to spend my time coaching and mentoring people inside the network marketing profession. I really don't want to have to go to the laundromat and fire up an employee to fold some laundry. So I want self-sufficient businesses that kind of, the car wash, the laundromat, and the real estate portfolio. That's our goal. And another one, which is a passion of mine, is the skating rink. So I grew up in a skating rink when I was younger. It was where I learned how to smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, I vape, but when I was younger, we didn't have games and we didn't have all that stuff. And I really feel like kids still need that. And so when I go to these towns that don't have skating rinks, I literally cringe. And I'm like, if I had the money, I would buy this building. And my head, when we drive through town, most people are like, where are we going to eat? I'm like, there's an empty building. I wonder how much they want for that rent. What could we put? It's always like a puzzle. Like, what could I fit here, and what could I make happen with this and that? And so for me, it's not if, it's when, for all of in my life, you know. But I
That's
definitely,
true. I mean, the skating rink in my neighborhood shut down. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's true. It's a place for growing up. It was where, your mom dropped you off. If you were lucky, you got a couple bucks out of her, and you had to stay
yeah,
there the whole damn night, sweating. Oh my God. And I mean,
you were so cool when they put a song too on your skates. Don't act like you wasn't, and especially if you could turn around and go backwards. I couldn't do that, but if you
no.
could go backwards, you were real cool.
And
But
you know me, I'm 6 feet tall. I look like an Amazon on those skates too. It was crazy. I'd be like, here comes dinosaur Donna coming through the skating rink, and I'm sitting there just trying, God forbid, I could never do the crossover. I had to do the lean, trying to whip around a Cadillac, that was me. That was me. Okay. Last thing. How can people find you? Tell me how can someone reach out, find you? You were talking about doing coaching and mentoring. I mean, first of all, you'd be amazing at it. So I would endorse that 110% because I think you have a lot of experience, even at your age. Um, and it's unique perspective of growing up OG, but in putting a new spin on it. That's a talent, honestly, Chance, that a lot of people don't have. A lot of the new people inside network marketing don't have the OG strain, woven into them. And that was a lot of discipline back in those days, right? A lot of discipline on building your business. And at the same time, learning the technology skills that you have is a lot of things that a lot of older generation don't have. You have a really unique perspective. I think you can help a lot of people. But how does someone find you and reach out and connect with you?
So Facebook is the best way. I'm always on Facebook. Usually if you message me on Facebook, I will reply quicker than if you send me a text message on my cell phone, which is crazy. My friends and my family are like, I have to message you on Facebook to get a hold of you because I'm literally always, it's like my email. It's where I build my business. It's where I'm always at. So Facebook Messenger, I'm usually always available. If I don't ever reply to someone, keep messaging me because sometimes stuff gets buried in the bottom. And I have ADD. So I'll read your message and I'll reply in my head, but I really never replied. The laundry went off, so now I'm folding clothes. The cat wants some food, now I'm feeding the baby cat. So that's me. But I'm never ignoring you. I love people. I love everyone. My license plate says "Love y'all" on my car. That is my mantra. For those of you that don't, I believe that there's enough hate in the world. If we can love people if people can hate for no reason, we can love for no reason as well. And so I carry that with me everywhere I go, and I try to love those that don't even like me. And so sometimes that's challenging, but it is possible, and it does give you a more peaceful, freeing life. But yeah, Facebook is the best place to find me. Everything that I've done has been on Facebook, and that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, Donna, I'm in the learning curve. I've got to get on TikTok. I'm 30 years old.
Oh my goodness. I checked your TikTok out. You got over 1,000 people on TikTok. That's a lot.
Like I haven't mastered my way. Okay, I know how to get on Facebook and show people the real raw me, right? I know how to get them to know, follow the entire life story. But as far as on TikTok, I'm like, how do I get, so I'm going through this, how do I get my message across on TikTok? How do I make a video about work and get everybody
just talk. That's what I've had to learn. It's been my biggest struggle. And it's just because I think, first of all, if I do one of those dances, I'll probably break a hip. Someone told me, just grab your phone and just do this, talk and just share your story. And I think you just got a lot to say, and I think it'd be a great venue for you.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely try to get over the TikTok.
I'm going to go stalk you over there. All right. Well, listen, everybody, I hope you got to meet Chance. He is an amazing guy. Go follow him on TikTok and on Facebook. You can reach him on Facebook. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can catch our future podcasts together as we have another amazing guest coming up next week. Chance, thank you. This was a lot of fun. I hope that it met your expectations. Like I said, it's just about having that real talk, and I think a lot of times just, introducing you to the world as you. And that was my goal. So thank you for being here. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the invite. I really appreciate you having me here, and I've had so much fun hanging out today.